get back and see him. Wait till I slap it. Alright, yeah, wait. Wait till I come back in the month of late night, and then it's just you and I you up.
Children gonna be children, kids will be kids, man. You know what I'm saying? I expect that from them. I expect them to do the wrong thing.
What started as just another day inside the jail quickly turned into one of the most terrifying moments of King Harris's young life. No one could have predicted how fast things would spiral out of control, how one single heated argument could push him into the hands of some of the most feared men inside. And what followed next wasn't just a fight. It wasn't just some petty altercation between inmates. It was a deadly encounter that almost cost King his life. An ordeal so chilling that it forced his father, rap legend T.I., to do something no one ever expected: beg a dangerous gang leader to spare his son. The story begins with King Harris trying to adjust to the harsh reality of jail life. He had already made a reputation for himself long before stepping foot behind bars. Known for his outspoken nature, his flashy lifestyle, and his refusal to back down from anyone, King carried himself with the same fiery energy inside that he showed outside. But in jail, that kind of attitude doesn't always earn you respect. Sometimes it paints a target on your back. And for King, that target grew bigger with every word he spoke, with every defiant glance he threw at the men who ran the place from the inside.
Well, I'm saying that you weren't allowed to turn left right there because it's separated by those double yellow lines. I got you. Do you have your license on you? Go ahead and step it up. Okay, Mr. Harris. Okay. We gotta have a talk about something else, so keep your hands on the steering wheel for me.
At first, things were tense but manageable. King spent most of his time keeping to himself, talking to a few people, calling his family when he could. But jail is a world of politics, alliances, and unspoken rules. And one night, King crossed a line he never should have crossed. Reports from inside say that he mouthed off to the wrong group of men who were already watching him closely, testing his every move. It started as words, nothing more than a heated back and forth in the common area. But in jail, words can be more dangerous than weapons. And the moment King raised his voice, the moment he challenged them in front of others, it was already too late. He had disrespected them, and disrespect doesn't go unanswered in a world where survival depends on reputation. That night, word spread through the jail like wildfire. King Harris had talked back, and the gang leaders inside weren't going to let it slide. He had embarrassed them, and
I smell some weed in the car, so our procedure is we gotta check it. Is there anything else that I need to be aware of?
Man, I don't want y'all to check the car.
I can't hear you.
I don't want y'all to search the car.
Well, I understand that, but if I smell weed, that's probable cause to search the vehicle.
You're not gonna find them. You're gonna find my guns.
Just multiple guns?
I got a stick, the AR.
And in a place where fear and power dictate everything, that embarrassment had to be paid for in blood. Some inmates whispered warnings, telling King to keep his head down, to apologize, to fix things before it got worse. But King, being who he was, stubborn, prideful, unwilling to show weakness, shrugged it off. Maybe he thought his father's name carried enough weight to shield him.
They did confirm it, so the warrant is valid and they do want you.
Whoa.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I want you to make sure that you know your rights. I'm gonna read your Miranda real quick. Just give me 1 sec. Just gonna read you your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
What's your stage name so I can look you up?
King Harris.
King Harris?
You know T.I.?
Huh?
T.I.?
Who's that?
That's my father.
Maybe he thought it was just tough talk, nothing more. But what he didn't realize was that plans were already being made against him, and time was running out. Back at home, T.I. had no idea how bad things were getting. He knew jail was rough, he knew his son wasn't built for that kind of life, but he couldn't have imagined the deadly storm brewing inside those walls. Then the call came. It wasn't from King, and it wasn't from the jail staff. It was from someone who had connections on the inside. Someone who told T.I. in no uncertain terms that his son was in danger, that King had crossed the wrong people, and that unless something was done quickly, he might not survive the week. The news hit T.I. like a punch to the chest. For all his tough exterior, for all the years he spent navigating his own struggles in the streets and the industry, nothing prepared him for the thought of losing his son. Tiny, King's mother, broke down when she heard. She begged T.I. to do anything to protect their child. And in that moment, T.I. knew he couldn't sit back and hope for the best. He had to act, even if it meant putting himself in a position no father should ever have to be in. Meanwhile, inside the jail, King was starting to realize just how serious things had become. He noticed the looks, the way people stopped talking when he walked by, the way certain groups of men seemed to follow his every move. Whispers reached him that the gang leader who ran one of the biggest crews inside had taken a personal interest in him, and not in a good way. King tried to keep calm, but paranoia set in. Nights became sleepless. Every noise outside his cell door made his heart pound. He started to fear that any moment could be his last. And then it happened. One night, when King was heading back from the shower, he was confronted. The gang members cornered him, blocking every exit, their faces cold and unflinching. King tried to talk his way out, tried to explain, but his words didn't matter anymore. The disrespect had already been marked, and the punishment was coming. The attack was swift and brutal. King was beaten so badly that guards had to step in before it went too far. By the time they dragged him back to safety, his face was bloodied, his body bruised, and his spirit shaken in a way he had never experienced before. When T.I. got the call that his son had been attacked, he completely lost it. The image of King, broken and helpless, haunted him. He rushed to the jail, demanding answers, demanding to see his son. But the system doesn't bend easily, even for celebrities. He was met with cold responses, told that things happen inside, and that the best they could do was place King under watch. That wasn't good enough. Not for T.I., not for a father who knew that his son might not survive another night if something wasn't done. And that's when T.I. made a decision that shocked everyone. He reached out through his own connections, using every name, every favor he could pull. He wanted to talk to the man responsible, the gang leader himself. It was risky, dangerous even, but for T.I., nothing mattered more than saving his son's life. When he finally got word back that the leader would agree to a meeting, the weight of the situation sank in. This wasn't going to be a negotiation in a courtroom or a backroom business deal. This was a father walking into the lion's den, putting his pride aside and begging for mercy. The meeting took place in a way few people will ever truly understand. Behind the scenes, away from cameras, away from reporters, T.I. sat across from a man whose reputation was built on fear and violence. And in that room, the rapper who once built his career on being the king of the South put aside his ego, his fame, his status, and pleaded. Witnesses said his voice cracked as he spoke, that he explained his son's immaturity, his recklessness, and how he didn't understand the rules of the world he had stumbled into. He told the leader he wasn't there to argue or to fight, but to ask for forgiveness on King's behalf. He asked them to spare his boy's life. The gang leader listened, silent at first, his face unreadable. For a long time, no one knew what he would say. The tension was unbearable. And then finally he spoke. He made it clear that in his world, disrespect had consequences, and King had crossed a line. But after hearing T.I., after seeing a father willing to humble himself and plead for his child, he agreed to let King go, on one condition. T.I. had to ensure that King stayed in his lane, that he learned his place, that he didn't mouth off or challenge anyone again. If he slipped up a second time, there would be no second chance. T.I. agreed without hesitation. He would have agreed to anything in that moment. When he walked out of that meeting, he wasn't the rap star everyone knew. He was just a father who had gone to hell and back to keep his child alive. Back inside, King was moved to a different unit for his protection. When his father finally got the chance to speak to him, the emotions were overwhelming. T.I. broke down, tears streaming down his face as he grabbed his son's hand and told him the truth. He had almost lost him, and he had done things he never thought he would have to do just to keep him alive. King, still bruised and shaken, listened quietly. For once, his defiance was gone. For once, he saw his father not as the strict parent always on his case, but as a man who had fought for him in ways he could barely comprehend. The Harris family was shaken to their core. Tiny cried endlessly, her heart shattered at the thought of her son being so close to death. The siblings stood close, rallying around King, but the scars of what had happened weren't just physical. They were emotional, spiritual, deep in ways that would take years to heal. And as the news leaked to the public, Outrage erupted. Fans couldn't believe that things had gotten so bad, that King's life had been put on the line in such a brutal way. Social media exploded with messages of support, anger, and disbelief. But more than anything, people were shocked at the image of T.I., the tough, confident rap star, brought to tears, begging a gang leader for his son's life. For many, it was a reminder that fame, money, and power mean nothing in the face of real danger. At the end of the day, T.I. wasn't a celebrity in that room. He was a father, desperate to save his child. The story left everyone asking questions. How did it get this far? Could King survive the rest of his sentence without slipping again? And what would this do to the Harris family moving forward? One thing was clear. The incident had changed everything. The world had seen just how fragile even the most powerful lives can be when caught in the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong people. And so, as King Harris heals from his brutal attack, as T.I. and Tiny cling tighter to their family than ever before, one haunting truth remains. In the world King stumbled into, mercy is rare and second chances are even rarer. This time he was spared. But will he survive the next?